Hey y'all, I am back with another Lunchbox video where I'm going to be showing y'all everything that I packed for my husband's work week. So jumping right in, I went to Kroger and I picked up some of these mini croissants that we love. You can do a lot of different things with those, but I'm just going to be using them to make some simple sandwiches. So while I was there, I also came across this Smokehouse Club Trio, which is just like turkey, ham, and cheese all packaged into one. And as you can see, I got all of that for less than $10 and there was a lot in there. So it was definitely the most like cost effective thing to do because prior to finding that, what I had in my hand would have been like triple the price. So I'm definitely going to be doing that again. So as you can see, I am just getting my croissant split open. And then I'm going to take a piece of that Colby Jack cheese and just fold it in half. That way each half can fit like perfectly onto the croissant. Each sandwich, I did a piece of turkey and ham. And since these come in like pretty big slices, I just folded it up in a way that it would fit the sandwich. So now onto the condiments. As I always mention, Josh is a huge like mayo guy. So I'm going to be adding that down first. And I always add it in between like the meat and the cheese. That way the bread doesn't get soggy. And then I'm also just going to do some mustard. Super simple. I also had one of these myself for my lunch and they're really good. Just adding it to a croissant like takes it to a whole nother level. But I also wanted to add too, when it comes to these croissants and just like any lunch meat in general, you have to use it up within a few days of buying it. And that's always kind of a challenge for us. We're not the type of family that eats sandwiches every day, so I wanted to note that this stuff freezes really well. You can assemble them as sandwiches without the condiments, of course, and just wrap them up and pop them in a freezer bag. And then the night before, just defrost it in the fridge, and you have a perfect grab-and-go lunch. It works out really well. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But to go along with it, he is going to get a can of tomato soup. This has been sitting in my pantry for a bit, not really getting touched, so I thought that this was the perfect opportunity to finally use it up. I think that sandwiches and soup make for the perfect lunch. I used to mix this with water, but it says on the back of the can that you can replace that with milk to make more of like a creamy tomato soup. So that's how I've been doing it now. And Josh wasn't always the biggest tomato soup fan, but now that I make it this way, he likes it a lot better. So it's a new great option for his lunchbox. So I'm just going to go and heat that up on the stove. I have already primed my thermos, which just means, I added boiling water to it, added the lid on it, and I let it sit for at least 20 minutes. So I'm just going to go and dump that out, and then I'm going to pour in the hot soup. Every now and then, I'll get a comment from someone saying that this doesn't keep their food hot. I don't know if they're just saying that or if it really doesn't work for them, but I can speak for us, and I have tested this out myself just to be sure. And just by going with the kids say and Josh, this method does keep the food hot for several hours, and it's been a very useful tool in our house. But now, I'm just going to prepare him a little snacky type box. So I'm going to give him 2 of these cutie mandarin oranges. I did go ahead and peel those just to make it easier on him, so he can kind of snack while he's driving and don't have to worry about it. I have been loving this glass container. I got it at TJ Maxx. I love that it's divided, and I just love the glass in general. I think it looks nicer. It doesn't stain like the plastic does, so I would like to eventually get rid of all my plastic over time and replace it with the glass, but they're kind of pricey, so it takes time. But anyways, I gave him a cherry Greek yogurt, and we really like to add granola to our yogurt, so I'm just going to give him a small container of that. It's the oats and dark chocolate. I also got this container at TJ Maxx. That is a great store if you're looking for some new lunch containers. That comes in like a pack of 3, and it's been really useful. I just stuck that on the side, and there's him a couple healthy options. And back there in that blue jug, if you are new here, I just fill that up with water most days. He doesn't take it every single day, but most of the time. And a lot of times he does use water enhancers. So this is the strawberry kiwi energy one. And he'll just keep that in his work truck and he can use it as he pleases. And when it's gone, I'll replace it. I also gave him a Pepsi Zero Sugar. And then lastly, he has a little snack size bag of this Cinnamon Toast Crunch popcorn. This is really good. He actually picked it out at the store, which shocked me because he's not the biggest cinnamon guy, but he really likes this, and we've all been enjoying it. So that was his first lunch to start off his work week. And I also wanted to include this new lunchbox. I get a lot of comments asking what type of lunchbox he has. He has gone through quite a few since we have been together. He's kind of rough on them, but I think this one is my favorite yet. It has a lot of room, so I'll definitely link it. Now moving on to day 2. So I meal prepped these lemon pepper chicken thighs for lunches, and I just served it with some like microwaved garlic butter rice. But I'm gonna quickly show you how I did that chicken. So to a large mixing bowl, I just dumped in a package of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I had already trimmed off the fat with some scissors like beforehand, but I'm just getting those coated in a little bit of olive oil, and then I took half of a lemon and I'm just squeezing that juice out all over the chicken. And then I pulled out my lemon pepper seasoning. I have a couple different ones, but I decided to go with the Mrs. Dash. And since it is salt-free, I went pretty heavy-handed. And then I went in with some salt and a lot of black pepper. And then for the other seasonings, I just did some garlic and onion powder and a little bit of chili powder. So I just went in there with my hands and got that distributed really good just to make sure that all sides were like perfectly coated. And as you can see, this is very well seasoned. So I just pulled out my 9x13 casserole dish, sprayed it with some nonstick cooking spray, got that dumped in and spread out into like an even layer where nothing's overlapping. And I baked that at 400 degrees for about 35 minutes. And y'all, these were so delicious. This was my first time doing it this way, and they were so tender and juicy, and that seasoning was everything. So as for the rice, like I said, it's just the microwave kind. This is the Uncle Ben's one, and they have a few different flavors, but we really like these. I think they're a great option for lunch. 90 seconds, boom, you're done. And I would say it serves like 2 good size portions, or you could do like 4 small size ones, or maybe 3 is about more realistic. But anyways, I gave him 3 of those chicken thighs, and I added a slice of lemon on top, and then added the rice. And if you are new here or you're curious, he does have a way to heat that up in his truck. He just pops it in his Hot Logic and it warms it right up. So to go along with it, the kids have been begging for chocolate covered strawberries, so I just used what I had on hand, and quickly made those up. And then I had some pretzels left over from the holidays, so yeah, I dipped those too. He also was going to get a package of these pistachios. He's been loving that lately. And then he is getting a Sunkiest Orange Zero Sugar. We love those, but they're pretty hard to get your hands on them. As soon as they hit shelves, they sell out. But yep, that was his lunch. He really liked it. And then next up is one of Josh's favorites. This is walking tacos. I would say this is probably a little bit harder to eat outside of the house, but he doesn't mind it. And it's just something, kind of fun every now and then. But if you don't know what a walking taco is, basically you just grab a bag of Doritos, or you could even use Fritos, and you crush that up, and then you dump some taco meat on top, right in the bag. Nothing fancy, it's just some ground beef and a package of taco seasoning, and then you just pack up your toppings. So we have some shredded lettuce and diced tomatoes, also some shredded like quesadilla cheese, and some taco sauce. And I chose these containers because I just like how they stacked on top of each other. I figured it would keep it from kind of like flying all over the place in his lunchbox. But this is the taco sauce that we like to buy. It's the Ortega mild. It's really good. We also like to use that as a dressing sometimes on like taco salads. But yeah, this is also a great like party option, or if you have like a little get together, just get you some bags of chips and everyone can assemble it themselves. But to go along with it, he is also getting this like banana pudding cup. Banana pudding is one of his favorite desserts, so I just quickly whipped that together. I got this cup at Walmart like several years ago, so I don't know if they still sell them, but I know you can find like really similar on Amazon. Just type in like yogurt parfait cup. But to make that, I just lined the bottom with some vanilla wafers. I topped it with some sliced bananas, and I just whipped together this really quick banana pudding. This is one of those like instant pudding packages. It's the banana cream one. I'll show the package in just a second. There it is. So you just mix in some milk, whisk it together, and it thickens up really quickly. So I'm just topping that with some whipped cream, and then I took a few of those cookies, crushed them up, and added it to the top. So he can add those in when he's ready. So I did do this the day before, so that set in the fridge overnight to soften those cookies up a little bit. And then lastly, he just got an apple that needed to be eaten, and then another one of those Sunkiest like orange pops. I had every intention of asking Josh to film like the finished product after he assembled this in his truck, but it slipped my mind. But up next, he is getting some leftovers from dinner. We had like an appetizer type night, and those types of dinners are my favorite. But I made those like famous crock-pot meatballs that you just mix together, like some jelly and barbecue sauce with some frozen meatballs. And I also made a like quick spinach dip. So of course you got to have some tortilla chips to dip that in, but those 2 recipes will be in my upcoming What's for Dinner. So if you're interested, definitely be on the lookout. And then for a little sweet treat, I bought these like chocolate covered peanut butter stuffed pretzels for the first time, and they are so good. Definitely will be buying those again. It's a great treat for all of us, really, but he especially really loved these. And to go along with that, he is just getting a Coke Zero and a banana. Now on to the last lunchbox idea for this video. So I had some leftover pulled pork in the fridge that had to be used up, and I was trying to think of something different I could do with it, and pinwheels popped up in my head. So I just winged it, and it turned out so amazing. Definitely a new favorite. So I took about a half a block of cream cheese, and I just popped that in the microwave for a bit, and then I seasoned it up with some ranch seasoning and threw in like a small handful of shredded cheese. I also had that open bag of bacon bits in my fridge, so I just threw a few of those in, stirred it together, and then I just pulled out a couple like regular size tortillas and added a good amount of that cream cheese mixture to it, and I'm just taking the back of my spoon and spreading that out into an even, somewhat thin layer. And then now is when I'm going to start adding the pulled pork, and I found it easier just to go in with my hands to pull it apart. That way it wouldn't like all clump up into like one big piece. But yeah, so for the pulled pork, I made this like maybe a month ago in my crock pot. And I froze the leftovers, and I pulled that out, and we had some pulled pork stuffed baked potatoes for dinner, which will also be in my upcoming What's for Dinner video. But we still had a little bit left, which is what I use for the pinwheels. So I really love those meals that, you know, you cook once and you can make a couple of different things out of them. But yeah, so I just rolled those up tightly, and then I covered them in some cling wrap, and I just popped those in the fridge for about 30 to 40 minutes just so that cream cheese could kind of firm up, making it easier to slice. And with pinwheels, you normally like discard the ends because they don't have as much filling in them and they're not as pretty, but I don't throw them away. I eat them myself. I'll take the ugly ones. But yep, that's what they look like. Super good. And to go along with it, I made a fruit salad. So I started with some sugar-free vanilla pudding in the bottom. You're supposed to mix in like some Cool Whip to fluff it up, but I didn't have any, so I'm just using some whipped cream. So once I got that mixed, you pretty much just add in whatever fruit you want to. So I did a can of mandarin oranges that I drained, of course. I did a whole container of strawberries that I washed and sliced up, and then just the rest of the blueberries that have been hanging out in my fridge. Pineapple tidbits would be amazing in this, but I didn't have any, sadly. But for the last ingredient, you're going to add in some mini marshmallows, and I went with the fruit flavored ones. I think the colors are pretty, and I think they taste good. I have not had those since I was like a kid, so that took me back. But that is it. You definitely don't want to let this sit in the fridge too long. Like, I wouldn't go over a day because it would just get like super watery. So this is best served fresh, like if you want to take this to like a gathering or a cookout or whatever you're going to do. But I did do this like the night before, so it still turned out okay the next day. So just wanted to give you that note. And then to go along with it, he is getting some of these like bacon and cheddar Cheez-Its. I did not even know that these existed. I'm normally not like an artificially bacon type of person, but we have all been loving those. As you can see, I gave him quite a few of those pinwheels. If you've never had those before, you just eat them cold. So this is a great cold lunchbox option. And I just threw in a bunch of snacks. So we have a couple Slim Jims. Josh found these strawberry and cream savers, I think at a gas station. And oh my gosh, those took me back too. I used to have those all the time as a kid, and I'm so glad that they're selling them again. I also threw in a couple of these Lindt truffles. These are the dark chocolate and strawberry ones. And then lastly, just one of these small, like mini apple fruit hand pies. And then for drinks, he is just getting a Coke Zero and a blue Gatorade Zero. But that is going to wrap up this video. I really hope that this was helpful and that you enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.